It's all to play for still.
I think so. Do you want to bet against us?
Hello, Aston Villa fans, and welcome to For the Love of Paul McGrath podcast. And straight away, the team is out for Villa versus Spurs, and it is as follows: Martinez in goals, Cash, Konza, Pau, Digne, Onana making his return in the number 6 position with Kamara. McGinn captains the team with Gesand, Rodgers, and Daniel Malen starts up top. Probably most likely, I would say, because he's scored 2 goals in his last game. But I would say also as well that Ollie Watkins wasn't maybe fully recovered, but he is on the bench. The bench is made up by Marco Bizot, Ian Matson, Victor Lindelof, Ross Barkley making a return to the bench, Ollie Watkins in there, Jadon Sancho making a return to the bench, Emi Buendia in there after his after the flying elbow that he got against Burnley the last day. Harvey Elliott on the bench, and also Lamar Bogart on that bench. That's a good bench. Jesus, that's a good bench to be able to pick from. And it's a good 11 to be able to pick from too as well, Paddy.
It's about as strong as we can go, really. I'm trying to figure out, is it only Mings that's missing?
It's only Mings. Mings and Tielemans. Yeah, Mings and Tielemans, really, and Garcia.
So it is absolutely really strong from start to finish. And look, Ollie Watkins' injury probably has him where he is on the bench, to be honest.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and look, as I say, it'll be interesting to see, does he come off the bench in this game. But look, Daniel Malen's the man in form. He got 2 goals the last day. His movement was absolutely sensational. And let's go against Spurs today and move around those 2 centre halves, and who I would imagine, I haven't seen the team yet, are going to be Romero and Van de Ven. And as I say, look, we should be going into this. You know, there's a nice structure to this team. I would imagine it's going to be McGinn will be playing probably centrally, Gesand on the right, Rodgers on the left. And I like that setup with the amount of energy that it kind of gives you as well. And look, Gesand, again, I would love, of everyone on that field that's going to go out today, I really have this nice feeling about Gesand, even though he hasn't been brilliant in an attacking sense. I'd love to see him get a goal today. I think it would do absolute wonders for to have another player getting that confidence, the same level of confidence that Daniel Malen hopefully is going to take into this game from his last game.
Yeah, and look, he's our player. We want him to be fit and firing ahead of anybody that's on loan. Obviously, we paid an awful lot for the loan player, so we want them to be firing as well. But we need to get Gesand up to speed and up to the level that we want them playing at. And look, what will be. But he does look like he's got something about him. I've liked him. I've liked his work rate. I've liked his defensive work rate specifically. So he has a lot of attributes to his game, even though he is still a little bit raw.
Yeah, and again, look, not to harp on about the bench, because it's the 11 that's going to go out there and going to hopefully do the business for us early on in this game. But like, there's nobody on that bench that I'm like, biting my nails at the thought of potentially coming on. I know that might sound, look, obviously there's people there that I don't know what Victor Lindelof would be like if we got an injury after 10 minutes and he'd come on. I don't really know what Ross Barkley has in the tank currently because we haven't seen anything, but they're all good pros, experienced pros on the bench, probably outside of Lamar Bogart, but he's one of our own. Again, he's shown his mettle when he's come into this team as well this year. So exciting 11, exciting subs, and hopefully we get the excitement on the field and we get an exciting result.
Well, that's all we want, isn't it? We need a result. We need a performance. There's plenty of players there capable of doing it, mind you. So have they. So it's going to be an interesting contest, as we said in the preview. But it's I would consider a couple of weak links in that Spurs team, but we'll get to that now in a second.
Here is the Spurs team. Great segue, Paddy, like as if we planned it. Vicario on goals. Palhinha, they do it, the numbers.
Of course they do. So I'll help you, Neil. It'll be Porro, Romero, and defense.
Exactly.
Bentancur and Palhinha. I think someone told me I called him Vitinha the other night. Palhinha in central defence and midfield with Bentancur, then Kudos, Simmons, Odegaard, and Tell up front.
I am really surprised at Wilson Odobert. No, look, I'm not saying that he's a bad player or anything like that, but with the options that they have there on the bench, Wilson Odobert gets his fair amount of game time in this Spurs team. Like, I'm not saying he's a bad player or anything like that, but you'd think Thomas Frank started this season. He started it with Richarlison up front, had some good games. You know, they've got Colin Moani. Jesus Christ, if we had Colin Moani in his team, we'd literally be doing 24-hour streams talking about how lucky we are to have him in. They've got Darren Boyfield on the bench as well, it looks like, as well. But, you know, it's like you've got Brendan Johnson there too. They've got an array of stars. They've got an array of talent. Thomas Frank has his way of playing, and it seems that like Odobert sits into that seamlessly. And it's going to be interesting to see what we do here. The big talking point, I think, with Thomas Frank's team and with this Spurs team is probably always going to be the fact that they are going to favour Palhinha and Bentancur and have those two twin towers in the middle of midfield, trying to stop everything coming through. It's really defensive, but it's like. There's nobody would be given out if they're both of those and the 2-6 positions in their team. I don't think, because that to me, in front of Romero and Van de Ven, is probably the strongest area of their team, and the area of their team whereby I don't think I would have any qualms in saying that that's where all the experience in this team comes from.
You mentioned Darren Boyfield. It's actually Janoi Boyfield. He's still only 16 years of age and an absolutely towering centre back. At that age, to have a centre back on the bench is a brave move if you needed to use him. But look, I alluded to. I think there's a couple of weak links we can exploit. I think Jed Spence is great going forward, but not particularly good defensively. I haven't seen anything of Matthias Tell to tell me that he's going to be anyway up to the standard that Spurs are expecting him to be. And you mentioned Odobert. I actually like Odobert. I think he's a good honest footballer. And I don't think the Spurs fans have quite warmed to him yet, but he does actually give you an awful lot in a number of positions along that front line. So if I was a Spurs fan, I'd be delighted to have him. We would need to watch out for Simmons and Kudos, obviously, down that side. They work very well together. And as you said, Paulinia yellow card is the nailed one on for today, probably for a foul on John McGinn.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to say as well. Like, that's like you can almost write the two of those in Biro every single Friday, that they're going to be the two that are going to be playing in that central midfield if they are fit for Spurs. That because I think Thomas Frank is just going to love that in there. And I think that's why Unai Emery has gone with John McGinn in that more elevated position. You know, we've all been looking for this. I just did a podcast on him last night, that midfield podcast, and I titled it, it's like an episode of The Highlander, the 1980s, 1990s TV series. Like, John McGinn has literally nailed down and held down the midfield position almost single-handedly for all of this year. He's been an ever-present, he's been ever-constant, and he's going to be moved into that area, and you're going to utilize his waspish-like behavior and his waspish-like energy that he's going to buzz around in between those two guys and try and drag them everywhere and hopefully, you know, get some frees in advantageous positions, as you said, because Palhinha is foul first, ask questions later. You know, that's the type of player he is. He's bloody good at it, and he's paid a hell of a lot of money to do it. But he will do it. You know, he will get a yellow card today. I can almost guarantee that too as well, Paddy, like you did.
Yeah, but other than that, look, it's as we expected. I've no change to what I believe that we can go and win the game. Not by any comfortable margin, mind you. I think, having looked at the two of that, I would gladly take a 1-0 or a 2-1 victory. I'll take any type of victory. I'll take 7-6 if it comes to it. But it would just be great to get a victory today and enlighten the rest of the league that we're back on track and we're back on form, and get the media off our backs with our so-called bad start, which will a win today takes us up level with the likes of Brighton, Man United, Everton, who all perceive to have good starts to the season. So fingers crossed we can go and get it, and I believe that we can.
Yeah, look. As I say, it's still about building blocks. Like, you're not going to qualify for Europe today. You're not going to qualify for Europe on the 19th of October. Just like we weren't going to qualify for Europe and in late August when things weren't going our way then either. It makes a bloody hell of a lot easier if we start getting results now, though, that you aren't looking over your shoulder or trying to chase the pack later on in the year. So I'm of the opinion, and I have been pretty much throughout the week in on this, that this is a must not lose game, more so than we have to win game.
I'm not sure if you can hear me, Neil, but I've lost you. I don't know if it's
that too, and I think that will
me lagging or you.
Everyone. I lost absolutely everything. My whole screen went black there. Yeah.
Okay.
So apologies. My whole screen went completely black, and I just lost everyone. I don't know if you can still hear me now.
Yeah, you're back to normal.
Yeah. So anyway, I was going with, I think this is going to be 1-1 draw today.
Right. Okay.
Back to normal. Back to normal. Predicting a 1-1 draw.
Yeah. I'm not sure what else we can say about this that we didn't in the preview. Who's your do you have anybody in there that you would really fear today that's going to potentially rip us apart?
Oh, Kudus and Xavi Simons, or Xavi Simons, whichever way you pronounce it. They're brilliant talents. They're brilliant players, So for me, I think they're definitely the two to look at. Brilliant players, and we would love to have either or both of those on our team. I think. There's that Spurs team is really, really good. Like there's a lot of those players that we would be very much interchangeable into our team as well. Likewise, there's a lot of Spurs fans that would like I think every Spurs fan here would take Ezri Konsa. I think every Spurs fan here would take Boubacar Kamara. I think every Spurs fan here would take Morgan Rogers. They take Ollie Watkins. So I think both fans, and I know that because the Spurs fans said that to me when I was on his podcast during the week. So that's it. It's a more evenly matched game, I think, than we think. Home advantage could tip the balance here in this one. Unai Emery has the rabbit's foot over Thomas Frank, and has done pretty much throughout their managerial career. But obviously, he's in new surroundings, and we'll see what happens today. But I think the Villa will be tough to beat in this one. And hopefully we go on and if we nick this one 1-0, 2-1, absolutely brilliant. If we get a 1-1 draw, absolutely the same.
Yeah. Cat Cannon, obviously we were discussing the midfield battle that's going to be there. It is going to be a difficult battle in midfield, and how do we play through it is the $6 million question. And I think that's a job for our fullbacks, a job for Gesson and John McGinn. And we'll gladly watch this game of chess as opposed to a team parking 8 behind the ball and having 3 pressing. So it'll be a lot more open than we probably suggested talking about that midfield battle. But we will play through it, and it will be open. It will be an expansive game, and I'm looking forward to it.
I wonder, will there be some interchangeability? And I'd like to see it, although I don't expect it, if that makes sense. I'd like to see a small bit of interchangeability between John McGinn and Amadou Onana. I just have this feeling you give Amadou Onana, and I'm not saying he's going to turn around and play deft slide rule passes from the 10 position, but you batter their battering rams. I'm a big fan of hammer to hammer, all the cliches that you want with that one. Hammer to hammer in this instance. Put the big lump up there beside the big lumps and see what happens. Compete in areas where they think you're going to shy away from. Like Kat said there, how are we going to go through the middle? Start with McGinn up there, and then all of a sudden Onana makes his way up there, and McGinn comes back into the 6th position, and you start changing things around, and you get them guessing. You're like, okay, have them talking, have them moving out of their zonal situations that they will be in when McGinn is there, and have to go to more of a man-to-man when Onana is up there, and then maybe you push Onana back in, you put McGinn out on the right, and you bring Gesson in there, and they're going, oh, we've done very little on this guy being here in the middle. Keep the two of those boys guessing. That's how you play through the middle. That's how other teams play against us all the time. So I'd love to see it. I really would. I'd love to see it. Don't expect to see it because of the rigidity of the way that we play, which is not a negative thing. It's just it's a system-based system, which sounds silly. But I'd love to see it. If it was on offer, it was on a menu, I'd select it. put it that way.
Good stuff. Yeah, interchanging is probably the best way to go, as you alluded to, and we've seen Gesson drop in and help out in that position as well. So out of possession, we effectively have a three sitting there. Either that's McGinn or it's Gesson. And as we've said before, we saw touches, just flashes, I should say, of Onana running with the ball and being that ball carrier. So I'd love to see him do it, open those big legs and run at defenders. And it's a sight that I wouldn't, as a defender, relish coming up against, because no matter what way you go into a tackle with Onana, you're going to come out having him on top of you or hurt yourself trying to take him down. So it's a battle that we'll just have to wait and see how it plays out. But a battle I'm sure the guys are relishing today, and it's a good chance, as I said on Friday, it's a good chance to lay down a marker and show the league where we are at this point.
Absolutely, yeah. Like, in fairness, and you can see why Onana's back there in that defensive position, because you need to have good defenders. You need to have people protecting you. You need to have people protecting situations. Damn, I can't do it. I started laughing. I was trying to do a big build-up for a NordVPN ad. To join a NordVPN ad, Penny. I'm just not built for this stuff. Anyway, look, there's a QR code. If anybody's interested, NordVPN still going with us until the end of the month. If anybody's interested in taking a NordVPN subscription, you can do so. The information is in the bio below. And I'm certainly not built for that kind of stuff, specifically the Carney build-up stuff. But getting back to Onana, in a real, I suppose a real sense here, it's going to be interesting to see what his level of fitness is like, I think, today, Paddy. It's going to be interesting to see. Like, I don't expect him to have 90 minutes in the tank.
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
Yeah, I don't expect him to have 90 minutes in the tank. And with us being the away team, I think that's probably why you start him there and you go, right, if I can get a good 60 minutes out of Amadou Onana, bring on Bogart, or even bring on, like, if we have a good 60 minutes out of him, we're in this game, maybe we're pushing more than we thought, maybe you bring on Watkins and you move Malin out into that position like you played the last time, bring McGinn back into the six. Yeah. We've got a lot of options on that bench. We really, really do. So it's going to be interesting to see how long he lasts. And I suppose realistically as well, how mobile and fluid he looks while he's out there after coming back from, quite a few weeks out injured.
Well, in fairness, he has had the international game. He has had 2 weeks of training along with that, and a lot of ball playing at international level, as opposed to running and fitness training that he probably would get on a normal everyday session at Bodymore Heath. So you got to believe that the modern day footballer is going to keep himself fairly fit regardless of what the injury is. So I'm in no means worried about that. But as you say, I don't think he lasts 90 minutes. I think you see the sports scientists stand up at 65 minutes and tell a new night, 65 minutes, time to take them off. Or something along those lines. And and then changes to be made. But
his GPS pack is glowing red at that stage, I'd say.
What's that?
His GPS pack is glowing red in the back of his jersey at that stage, I'd say. So yeah.
The heart rate is up. Yeah,
exactly. What do you guys think the score is going to be? You want to start putting your scores in there, and I'll go down through them as well. I know Paddy's got a hard out. He's got to run away for a small bit before the game, and he won't be with us for the post-match podcast. So you'll have me and the post-match podcast, and I will be bringing that to you directly after this. Also, if you guys are interested in watching the game along with Dale and AVFC Stato, we will throw you directly into his watch-alongs like we have done for the last couple of years as well. That is still the case. And so I'll just wait for a couple of more scores to come in here and see. So you guys want to put in your scores there. Did you give a score, Paddy? Did you give a 2-1? You going with 2-1 today?
I'm going to go with 2-1. Yeah, I said 2-1 or 1-0. I presume they're going to score a goal. So a 2-1 is my prediction for this one. A lot of
I'm going to go with 1-1. I'm going to go 1-1 just to because I've gone with 1-1 all week prior to teams being out, prior to knowing what the injury news is. This isn't the team I thought Spurs would put out, though. I will say I thought Spurs would go with Colomwani or Richarlison playing through the centre, and that had me a small bit more. Now, once again, we have to preface this and not crapping on Matthias Tells. He's very young, very, very highly thought of player and can certainly play in that position. But I just thought that, you go in, you bring in Colomwani, he's a really, really good striker, and he hasn't really got much. Now I know he has a small bit of an injury, but he hasn't got much of a run. And long may that continue today. I don't want to see him come off the bench because I think he's a handful for Aston Villa. Don't think he matches up well with Aston Villa. So hopefully that is the case.
And he doesn't like Emi Martinez.
He doesn't like Emi Martinez now as well. Yeah, exactly. So here we have some where are we? Yes. So we're going to start off here. YBFC says 2-1 to the Villa. The Welland Valley says 2-1 to Spurs. 4-1 says John Steele. Junior says 2-1. Mike Richards says 2-2. Audrey is going with 2-1. PD is going with 2-1. Garrett is going with 2-1 as well. Ozgerm is going 2-2. Wasif is going with 0-0. Paul S is going with 2-2. Jim Reaper is going 2-1 Villa. 3-1 says Kevin Donnelly. 2-1 says Jared Dunleavy. 3-2 says Tyra Robax. 1-1 says Michael Smith. Jake is going for 2-0 Villa. Rare clean sheet. 2-2 says Aaron Cunningham. 3-1 says Stephen Neto. Jim Reaper saying Malin has 2 goals in him today. 2-1 Villa is saying is a green bin day. Declan Bagnall going for 2-0. 2-2 says Western. 3-2 says Flange. 2-1 says Villa. A KG says Shane. Andrew is going with a KG 1-0. John Griffith is going with 1-1. And Joe Montague is going for 2-2 as well. So, look, we'll always say on this team sheet tantrum, Aston Villa fans, when you come in to watch a game, it's better to be optimistic. And, I won't say it's better to be optimistic, but like my natural setting, I'm always like, if you were to look at the switch on my back, it's always switched to more optimistic than it is pessimistic. And I like that when we go into games. We could be absolutely wrong in 2.5 hours' time. When we're looking at this, there's 20 minutes left and we're 4-0 down and we're like, oh, Jesus, how am I going to do a post-match podcast? But football is all about the fun for me and it's all about the looking forward. So that's like, it's nice to see that a lot of you guys are optimistic about today as well. And I think we should be, given the run of form that we're on, albeit we are playing away. I think that, Aston Villa have been a good entity in this Premier League for the last couple of years. And today is a day to go out and prove that we're not on the downward slope. And at the start of the season was just a blip. I think that's for sure.
Yeah, it's a chance to put the rights back. And as I said, lay down a marker for everyone else. Tell them we're back. Have everyone else worried about us. Put in a performance. Get the 3 points. And roll on the coming fixtures that we're all excited about. I had a little chuckle there at Paul Clark saying 10-0 to Villa and Ange returns to Spurs. Wouldn't that be funny? What about poor Ange? Talk about the biggest payday ever. Getting sacked after a few games. I think I should have pursued my coaching career, Neil. What do you reckon?
39 days work. 7 million for 39 days work is some going. But we had a conversation today. We're half hoping that some big, massive, mysterious benefactor plumps up a load of cash and he becomes the Ireland football manager. So I think we had a conversation today to say that we think that he has. There's enough Irish down in Australia. Let's get an Australian to Ireland and get him to manage exactly. Ireland. Yeah. So it would be, because I think he'd be a great international manager. Well, he has managed at the international level anyway previously, but I think he'd be an awful lot easier to watch an Ange team lose 3-0 than it is to watch a Heimer team lose the way they're losing at the moment. That's my view on it. Right, we're going to leave it at that, guys. A slightly shorter team sheet tantrum, I suppose, than normal, but we don't want to waffle on as well. Plus, AVFC Stato is coming on. There's quite a lot of, and as I said, we'll throw you directly into that. We will be back right on the final whistle. Go and get yourself sorted before this. Football is back. Club football is back, and Aston Villa are back. Let's go and prove something in London today. See you all later, guys. In the meantime, stay safe, stay healthy, and all that's left to say is up the Villa.
Up the Villa.